design team called Color Rush Studios. And they are available online. Links are below in the description box if you want to go check them out. And this is the home sewing kit. And I am showing you the pieces I'm going to be using. I haven't picked out any embellishments at this point. I knew I was going to mount my photo on a piece of vellum. It's already backed in white cardstock, or maybe it's not yet, but it will be backed in white cardstock, then on the vellum, then on a piece of pattern paper, and then on the doily. And the pink paper is going to be the top layer of the layout, and I'm going to cut a circle out of it, and then I'm going to put the white cardstock behind it, and this is the paper I'm going to use to map my photo. So those are all the papers I'm going to be using on this layout. And the black and white paper I actually end up not using. I use black cardstock instead to border my layout. This sketch here in the corner is from the Facebook group, and there is a challenge to use stitching on your layout and to use that sketch. So if you go to the Facebook group over there, join us and participate in our challenge, that would be great. We'd be glad to have you and want to see what you guys create too. Here I'm going to put the ribbons underneath the circle. So I was laying them out to see how they were going to go. I decided to use a color, then black and white, a color, and then black and white, and then another color. And so the black and white ones came in this kit. All the colored ribbons came in the kit except for the pink one. The pink one is from last month's kit. And I just used it because I wanted one more color added in with the layout, and I liked the bright pink, so I picked that one. And here I'm stamping out the stitching. I did not hand stitch on this layout or machine stitch. I chose to use stamps. So I used Distress Oxide in Abandoned Coral, which matches the peachy color, and then Mowed Lawn is the green color, and I will come in with Picked Raspberry for the pink color. And as I'm doing the voiceover, I noticed that I actually did lay my ribbons down incorrectly as I was doing the stitching, which kind of makes sense to me now, because later on you'll see when I go to lay down the pink ribbon, it actually doesn't fit. It needs to be trimmed down just a little bit. And that probably has something to do with the fact that I didn't use the correct ribbon, but oh well, it works in the end, and I ended up fixing it, so it's okay. But I just wanted the little stitching lines to match up with the ribbon colors. And then I will, the green one is a little bit crooked. It's okay. It's stitching, and it really doesn't matter in the end because actually my picture covers majority of that. So it's okay. Just go with it. Have fun. This was something new I hadn't tried before. I do stitching or stamp stitching on layouts a lot, so but I had never done, ribbons and then stitching and something like this. So this was new. I'm going to move my photo out of the way because I am going to splatter. So what I do is I have a glass mat. So I just put a little bit of the ink on the glass mat and then add a little bit of water to it. And I will come and cover up the pink, or I'm not going to cover the pink line. I'm going to leave the pink line exposed, and I'll cover up the other lines on the paper. And everything is dry already. The Distress Oxide dries pretty quickly, and so there's really no waiting for it to dry. It was already dry. So I'm going to splatter the pink, and I'll put it just where the pink stitching is, and then I'll do the same thing for the green and the Abandoned Coral. And then I will splatter black over all of it. So at this point, the green and the coral is already done. A little bit hard to see in the camera screen, at least on my phone. I'm not sure. I'm sure in the video it's a little bit easier to see. And I just use a little bit of a black acrylic paint. And again, add a little bit of water to it and splatter around. And I want to make sure that it's splattered completely and there's enough splatter that you can see it, but not overdo it, and not very big splatters. So I was trying to keep it kind of little. And with splattering or stamping or anything, just kind of have to go with it because there's not really any control over it. But I like the way that it turns out in the end. And I'm going to roll my paper towels over it just to make sure that it's completely dry and, it's not going to rub around or anything, because I'm going to get started right away on the layout. I'm a little impatient to wait for it to dry anymore, but it's pretty much dry. So I will come in and start laying down my ribbons, and the way I did that was I used double-side tape, and this is a very thin tape. It's not even 1/4 of an inch. I'm not even sure. It's really small or really thin, but it works perfectly to hold the ribbons down. So I just did the pom-pom one at the bottom. I'm going to do the black and white ones flat. So this is the one with the pretty flowers on it, and I did it flat. And then the green one and the pink one, I guess would call it ruffles. You just kind of fold it. So I'll lay it down flat right there, and then I'll go up and I'll fold it. So I do that about every 1/4 of an inch or so, and just make a little ruffle mark. I do that all the way down, and I did iron the fabrics. I just took my hair flat iron actually, and I flattened them out because it was a little bit easier to be able to do this if they were flat. So that was very easy to do. Just take a spray bottle and, wet them just a little bit, and then use your iron or flat iron. I don't actually have an iron, so I had to use my flat iron to do it. So there I am adding the black polka dot one, and then I will come in and add the pink one. And as you can see, it covers up the pink line. So I was like, oh, that's not going to work. So I did cut it and then come back and attached it down. And it fits in the end. It's a little tight in there, but nobody's going to notice but me. And the pink does match perfectly with the ribbon, so you really can't see it, but you'll see in the close-ups you can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and add the pink paper on top. And as I was adding the pink paper on top, I'm like, it's missing something. I wasn't sure what it was missing at that point, so I started doing my foam tape around the back side of it, and then I got a piece of tan colored paper just from my stash. It's really thin cardstock paper, and I made a border to go around the circle. So then it kind of looks like an embroidery hoop. And I kind of like that because it gave a little nod to my mom, who used to embroider a lot when we were little. She made a lot of hand towels and even blankets. She would use her embroidery hoop to embroider pictures onto blankets for us when we were little kids. So I like that. I was showing a little nod at her for that. And there's also embroidery hoops in the ephemera and on the back side of this pink paper actually is where I fussy cut one out to use as an embellishment by the picture. So I'm going to lay that down, and I do already have my layout matted on the black paper too. I matted the white cardstock on the black paper, as you can see there as I flip it over to push it down, and it's all set. So everything's ready on the background. I'm going to get ready to attach my photo, and I did add the white border and roughed it up, and then I added the vellum, which is just a really thin layer, but it kind of looks elegant and delicate, so I kind of like it with the girl layouts. I'm going to add in the heart doily also, and at first I was going to angle it that way. I end up changing it and angling it the other way. There's no rhyme or reason, just it looked better the other way. And I think probably because I added that rose up there at the top, and it will stay there, that gold and white rose that's at the top. So I'll leave it like that. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to angle the photo or if I wanted it straight. I did decide to put it straight because of the circle and the heart shape. It just made more sense to put the photo straight. So I'll add this photo here on the right hand side, and then I'm going to add the little embellishments around the photo at the bottom of it. And all I picked out was I fussy cut the embroidery hoop, and then there's a little leaf that's like a darker green tealish color, and then the little flower that I picked out, and I will place that at the bottom. And then title wise, I was going to use Mom and Tammy, which is my sister's name, but it doesn't fit correctly. And I really wanted to use the big pink letters that came in the kit, but I wasn't able to use those on this layout because of the large circle and then the photo on the side. I really didn't have room to put the larger, thicker letters, so I end up not using those. I bring in some thickers from my stash that are like a pink, glittery kind of thicker, and those are just from my stash. And I'm gonna put at the bottom Tammy, but I'm gonna actually take Mom off. And I'll bring in another set of thickers. I don't show them on camera, but they're an old Maggie Holmes, and they are just little strips, or yeah, little strips that say "I love you so" and "Hey sweetheart." And I add those, one at the top and one at the bottom, to finish off the title at the bottom. And I'm a little bit ahead of myself here because I'm still showing you the Mom and Tammy at the bottom. But I think that's almost all that I add on camera. I know in the finishing touches I add pearls from my stash, flatback pearls. Those are something I like to use on a lot of layouts. And I added green, blue, and a white color. And the reason I chose the blue is because the photo is matted in like that tealy blue color. So here I'm adding the banner down at the bottom, and those are foam pieces, but they're not very sticky once I pull them off of the sheet, which isn't surprising. Almost everything loses its stick over time unless you add extra to it. So I try to now add a lot of either liquid glue or ATG. If it seems to be sticking with the ATG, I just go with the ATG. But if there's any question, I add liquid glue. I have had things fall off in my albums from not having enough stick to them over time. But for the most part, I just use the liquid glue to reinforce it a little bit and hold them on. So here I'm showing you the pearls that I'm going to add in, and those are going to go at the bottom left and bottom right and the top left. And then I do add a green little butterfly at the top. I'm not sure I do that on camera, but you'll see it in the close-ups. And then that's going to be it for this layout. I will have 2 more layouts, I believe each Friday of the month in February, and that's going to be with the same kit, Home Sewing, which is available on Color Rush Studios website. And I hope you guys will join me back and join our Facebook group and use the sketch and show us what you make and stitch on your layout, either using real stitching or stamps. Bye guys.